Oh, hey, everybody at DEF CON virtual. I'm here with my buddy, Ryan. We're going to do an impromptu Q&A just for you folks. You can ask your questions on the Twitter or in the Discord from DEF CON.
Or just yell them at your screen. That's fine too.
Yeah, or you can yell them at the screen and Ryan will hear it.
Yes.
And answer.
I'm in everybody's computers.
Yes, because he's in all of your computers. Because he's a hacksaw. Okay, let's see. We have a question. What are good books to learn social engineering for beginners? Asked from Shadow Absorber. Sorry. Well, Shadow, there are way too many. Okay, so let me give you. If you go to social-engineer.org. And on the top of that webpage, let me just make sure I'm not lying to you that it's on the top. Let me just check real quick. .org, and right on top of that page, yes, there is a link that says book list. And when you click that on our website, we have a list of every book that's ever been recommended to us through our podcast. Now, again, not all of those would be great for social engineering, but there's a number of them. Now, I'm going to be self-serving for a second. And I would say the two books that I would recommend that I wrote would be this one, which is Social Engineering, the Science of Human Hacking. If you want to do this as a career. And then my latest one, which is Human Hacking, Win Friends, Influence People, and Leave Them Feeling Better for Having Met You, if you want to just learn social engineering skills from everyday life. But other books that I would recommend would be like Joe Navarro's What Everybody Is Saying, Paul Ekman's Emotions Revealed, Amy Cuddy's Presence, Robert Cialdini's Influence.
And Robin Dreek's Top 10 Ways to Build Rapport.
Yep, Robin Dreek's. I can show you that one. This one's amazing.
It's a great book.
Robin Dreek's Top 10 Ways to Build Rapport with Anyone Fast. This is a very thin book, but it will change your life.
Absolutely.
I'm just thinking if there's any other real big ones that I should point out. Let's just stick with that. That's a lot of reading right there. That's a lot of reading. Okay. Do you have you want to add anything to that, Ryan, buddy?
The Robin Dreek book, you missed it. I covered it. I recommend that to everybody. Anyone, whether you want to be a social engineer or not, should read that book.
That's actually a good point. That's not just about social engineering. That's just a life book.
Yeah. And it's such an easy read. I think I've read it at least 10 times. Just kind of
I read it the first time in a plane in an hour and 45-minute trip. Yeah. Easy reading. Okay, let's see. If you jump into the DEF CON Discord for SE General Text, there's also some people putting in some book recommendations that they liked. So you can check that out too if you're in the DEF CON Discord. Well, thank you for the compliment in the Discord about my books. I appreciate it. I don't consider that sucking up. You're not asking for anything. That was a nice, honest compliment. So thank you. I appreciate that greatly. Nice question. Are there exercises or scenarios you can suggest for those of us looking to gain practical experiences in social engineering? I was thinking of taking the OSINT scorecard that the Recon Village shared and hold competitions with my wife to see who can get the most points while talking to strangers. I love that idea. Who are you? I can't even say your name. Okay. Lit. I'm just going to call you Lit. That is an awesome idea, by the way. The Recon Village one for the OSINT challenges. Here's what we tell people. Just go out and have a conversation. We're not good at that anymore as a society. And make your conversation with intent, but don't focus on the goal. Like say today, I'm going to go out and get 4 people's full names, like their first and last name. And then go out and just have a conversation with a complete stranger at your coffee shop or your grocery store or hardware store. And in the course of that conversation, get their full name. And if you don't succeed, fine. Don't make it like I have to do this. That will get easy. And then step it up and go, I'm going to go get somebody's date of birth. And when I say this, I don't mean Facebook it. I'm talking, you're in a conversation, you get someone to give you this information. And always leave your goal as I'm going to leave them feeling better for having met me. So that way your conversation isn't ever malicious or feels a little off. And yeah, and boy, you can do a lot with that.
Yeah,
What
when
do
I
you
worked
think,
in an office, when I worked in an office building and I started doing these techniques, trying to practice them, I would do it in the elevator in the building that I worked in, where you're just stuck in a small room with someone for a short period of time. Just strike up a quick conversation and see what you can get out of them. It helps with building kind of openers for conversations, because you're only going to be there for a couple minutes. So you try one, it doesn't work. You wait for the next elevator ride. You try a different one, see which ones work, which ones don't. Some work better on different types of people. So it's just practice.
And that's coming from an introvert right there.
Yeah, that was a lot of effort for me to do that. So I would usually just stand and face the wall before I started trying these techniques.
I've seen Ryan do amazing things, even as an introvert. So definitely take his advice on that. Let's see. I do love the idea though of making it a little competition.
Yeah,
That
would work good for, like, if you're at any public location, you can just kind of, 2 or more of you can play a little game to kind of make it interesting.
Shelby, where are you? I see you tweeted at me. Come on in. Join
Yeah.
us. People want to ask you questions. Stop tweeting at me. Come join us, dang it.
You have the way. You have the Zoom link. It's the same one.
Does she?
You should. We put it in our channel.
Then get your butt in here. Shelby, now. Come on. People want to hear you. Okay. How can someone get SE experience on their resume, since I can't put beat my wife at OSINT? Okay, so here's one pro tip. Don't put on your resume anything that starts with beat my wife. Just a pro tip. That usually goes over really bad, just saying. Okay. So there's one help. I'm a helper here today. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm a helper,
you're doing a
guys.
great job.
I'm a giver, not a taker. I'm a giver. But you're right. This is actually a question we get often, and it is one of the hardest questions to answer, because there is no way to get legitimate SE experience outside of a few things. Okay, so here are the few things. The first two are going to sound very self-promotional, so please forgive me for that. But I don't know anywhere else you can do this. Actually, I do. That's a lie. So I'm going to give you the first one. I teach a course at University of Arizona that is part of their degree courses for associates or bachelor's degrees. That is social engineering. And we do practical exercises. So when you graduate, you will have actually performed social engineering attacks on live humans. There is a woman. Oh man, what's her? I'm going to get the name of her university. Ida. Man, I'm totally blanking. I'm going to get her name and her thing when we take a break, and I'm going to post it. But she also teaches a course in social engineering at the university that she teaches. And although you're not performing SE adversarial simulation on live people, you are doing live exercises in her class too. So you can put that on your resume. Okay, that's the first one. Second, and this is why I said this is self-serving, we have an APSE course that we teach. And in that course, you go out and do live engagements during the week. And then our certification is an actual 48-hour SE pen test or SE adversarial simulation, non-physical, on an entity. So when you pass the cert, you can add that to your resume that you have fished, vished, written an SE report, and got certified for doing it all. So there's
Performed
the
OSINT
first
during
two.
all of that.
I'm sorry.
performed OSINT during all of that, so it's
Right.
all the whole full package.
So that's the first big one, the first two big ones. Now, the second way you can do this, and this is hard, right, is start your own company and try to get small jobs and then build it, right? That's difficult now because of the space we're in. It was much easier when I started doing this, but I know that's not an easy answer, but people do it, and you could try that. And the other is, and this is a bit of a longer path, so it depends on where you are with your career, is get a job in a company that does adversarial simulation that has an SE element to it, and work your way into that team where you're offering to help with phishing and vision. This is exactly what Ryan did before he worked here, and he became the lead social engineer for the company he was with before I stole him. And that, you know, that worked great for him. And then he had a ton of experience. By the time I got him, he was already had broken into a number of banks and done phishing and vishing and OSINT and all sorts of stuff, came fully experienced. But, and I'm not saying it will take you this long, but that path for Ryan was like 20 years. So, you know, hopefully you could do that faster.
Yeah.
And then the last answer I'll give you, and maybe Ryan has some others, is you look at our website, and when we're hiring, you apply. And if you're really great, then we hire you and you come in and you do automatic social engineering.
Way to set the bar really high.
You know, I mean, you know what, we're not going to hire like a dud. So, you know, I'm trying to be honest.
Well, if anybody's been looking at our Slack channel that we have, we recently posted a position within there looking for entry-level positions. So we're not always looking for top-tier people.
Yeah,
We will
yeah.
bring you in and train you as well. So, I mean, keep an eye on our Slack channel, and you might see
point.
not only just our job postings, but other job postings that happen
Mhm.
at SE.
We've had 5 people get jobs through the Slack channel.
Yeah, so you gotta try it.
Yeah, it's a good question. I still don't see Shelby anywhere.
She responded to me and said that she's on her way, so she'll be here soon. And now that I've said that and we're live, she has to show up.
I mean, she doesn't have much time. You know, we got speeches coming up, people. Anyhow, keep asking questions. What do you want to know?
Is there
You can
anybody
ask Ryan anything. Yeah, so lit. There is a cert. I'm kind of, I mean, this is braggy and I'm proud to say it. We are the only practical social engineering cert in the world right now. There are other social engineering courses, but they don't have a practical cert. You know, it's Q&A or things like that. And I'm not cutting it, just saying that we are the only practical social engineering certification in the world. And I'm really proud of that fact. We've been teaching this class for a decade, and we've recently found a couple companies that wanted to hire social engineers and required that they had our cert. Actually, that wasn't a requirement. I'm sorry. They said that people who had our cert had a leg up on the on the hiring process. So that made me really proud to see people really valuing our certification for that. We got some exciting things coming. I don't know if I should say it.
Well, you already disclosed it to a class, right? But that was
I
only
did.
That was only like 20 people, 11, 12, 13 people.
I did.
Give a teaser.
It is. Does SECom have room for an ex-high school math teacher asking for a friend? Well, if that math teacher is named Chris with the last name of Silvers, there's a possibility.
Yeah, I see a very high possibility.
Yeah, I see a really high possibility that could be an amazing math teacher to hire. I think that person should reach out to us, and that your friend, you should tell your friend to ping us and talk to us. That would be amazing.
Something happen.
Yeah. Wait, how come I see somebody that is Amanda typing when Amanda's not supposed to be working?
And now she's gone.
Amanda's supposed to be taking care of a baby.
Maybe her baby has a question.
That'd be awesome. That kid is so cute. It's ridiculous. What questions can we answer, folks? Keep asking.
Billy, hit us up on Twitter.
I feel like you can. Here's the thing: you can ask Ryan anything, any personal question you want. Ask Ryan.
It all depends on whether I'll answer it or not. You can
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
anything you want.
Yeah. Oh, Amanda, ask a question. Oh, no. Come on, Amanda, you can do it. Okay, your books all talk to the leaving people better for having met you, and I know you advocate trying not to lie as much as it's feasible. With that in mind, have there been jobs that were particularly emotionally draining from the pretext you made? Yes. Okay, so let me level set the leaving people feeling better for having met you statement, just so we can kind of get a clearer picture, because I understand that can be confusing when you hear it for the first time. So when we promote this, what we're saying is that, like, let's say we're going to send a phishing email to a client, right? So they want us to send a phishing email, and our OSINT helps us determine that a financial based theme would be the best for the time of year that we are sending it. So there's a couple choices, right? So here's choice one. We can offer people bonuses that they've been told that they weren't going to get. So they were told they're not going to get those bonuses, and we can offer them those bonuses because we know that that will attract people and they're going to click. Or we can send them an email that looks like it was a mistake, and it was going to another employee and said, hey, please check this file. All the employee payroll statements are here. Now, both of them are lies, and both of them are going to trigger curiosity. But one of them, that first one, is holding out a carrot of hope that affects people's lives. Like, you just told them that they're not going to get a bonus, which means they're thinking, oh my gosh, little Johnny's not getting a Christmas present this year. Or I don't know if I can afford to make that extra payment I always make in my mortgage. Or, wow, I really needed that for a car repair. And now they're not getting it. And now you hold that carrot out. And when they realize it was a fish, there's no teachable moment. They feel horrible, right? The second one gets people curious, but you're not promising them anything. So people will click it because I want to see, does Ryan make more than me? I got to check this payroll statement. And then they get fished and they're like, darn it, I fell for that. Same thing, financially based email, but one of them is when they get caught, they're like, oh, that was good, I got caught. And the other one is, crap, really? I thought I was getting a bonus. So when we talk about leaving people feeling better, it's just thinking through your pretext, so that way you're not humiliating, shaming, guilting, or making someone feel intense fear, anger, or desperation as the motivator. Because when that's over, it's really hard to teach somebody, right? If you came up to me and said, hey, Chris, show me how to fight, and I punched you square in the face, and I go, well, there's your first lesson. You should learn how to block. You don't look at me as a great teacher anymore. You look at me as kind of like a jerk. So we shouldn't do that. Okay. I just want to level set that before I answer your question. Now, almost every job that we have is emotionally draining, because we are really good at this company at making people feel comfortable and nice and building rapport. And then they like us. I mean, I just did a vishing call a month or so ago. I got on the phone with this woman, and she kept apologizing that, and I was supposed to be calling from IT, and here was the goal. I needed her to go to this website, enter her credentials, and then download a malicious file and install it, even though she was going to get a warning to not do it on her computer. So I'm trying to get her to go to the page, and she's complaining about her internet speed. And I say to her, oh, well, where are you living right now? And she tells me, and I go to the internet and I looked up internet providers in her neighborhood. And I say, who are you with? And she told me, and I said, oh, that one's like the worst rating. Here's 2 others. And I gave her the website and phone number to get better internet. And she was so appreciative. She was like, wow, I didn't even know we could get that here. That's amazing. Thank you for doing that research. You're the best IT guy. And then I hacked her. I got her username, her password, her login credentials, and made her install malware on her computer. Yeah, it feels crappy. I mean, it feels good, right? We did it, but then it feels crappy because it's like, wow, she loved it and loved me, but then I hacked her. And it was persistent shells. So we used it to hack the company for the whole week, right? So It always feels guilty. And here's my lesson on this. Then I'll shut up because I took so much time. I didn't let Ryan speak at all.
You're doing great.
Here's my lesson on it. The moment that myself or any of my employees stop feeling empathy for our targets, that's when you should leave and not work for me anymore. Empathy is what will make you an amazing professional social engineer. The minute that it becomes so much fun to make people feel bad, you've went from professional to malicious. And that's not our goal. Like, our goal is we got to make believe we're the bad guys, but we have to remember that we're the good guys, and treating people with respect and dignity is part of that. And it's a huge part of that. And if you can't do it, it's going to be very difficult for you to succeed. That was my spiel, Ryan. I don't know if you have anything.
You covered pretty much everything. Like, that was amazing. So
I'm sorry.
I was taking all the notes. I can reiterate that when you're not around. I can say all that stuff again. No, that was good. That was emotionally draining for the attacker. Is something that you have to put it into a particular frame of mind. So we've had this come up a couple times with a couple of our employees, where, and myself included, where when you initially start doing this, you do feel bad at times, but you have to reframe what you're doing to the aspect of that you're helping this company that you're testing. You're not doing this maliciously. So a win on your part is a training moment for them, and a failure on your part is a success for them. And so either way, that's a win-win for the client, because you're either helping them get better, or you have already helped them get better, and they're showing you that by shutting you down, whether it's a fish or a vish. So as long as you keep it in the context of your training and you're helping these people, then the lying is just part of the pretext of it. When I took Chris's class before I worked for him, the first day I was there, one of the questions that I asked him was, how can you do this job and not feel bad about lying? And that it all came down to the framing of that moment. It was, you need to take a perspective that you're not being malicious, you're actually helping them. And even though it takes some falsehoods to get you to that moment, that's the test that you're performing, is that you're seeing how they react to whatever you're presenting them. And so the emotionally draining or the feeling bad for doing social engineering professionally is just your frame of mind, and that's easily changeable because it's just in your head.
And Lit, thank you. It is a great philosophy, and my people that adopt it are much happier in their careers here. And it can be difficult to maintain that level of empathy, but what I find is that the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Like, empathy shouldn't be tiring. It's not tiring to be empathetic. What's tiring at the end of the day is sometimes like having to put on that act and be something you're not. That could be tiring, and like Ryan said, before, he's an introvert, and then he gets extroverted for these things, and that's tiring for him. And for me, having to, be overly bubbly and outgoing is a lot of work sometimes. So it's, it can be tiring. End of the day, yeah, your brain hurts, but we enjoy the empathy part because it makes it makes us feel like we're doing the job, and leaving people feeling better feels good for us too, right? Think about that from a psychological perspective. When you feel good, your brain releases chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin. And when they get released in your brain, you feel great. It's like the happy drugs. You feel rapport, you feel good. And that, when you can do that will also help you feel good when you leave people feel better for having met you.
Well, also the science of what you're talking about, where you said empathy gets easier as you keep doing it. That's brain science. It's your neural pathways in your brain finding ways to do this more often. It's just like riding a bike or picking up any other habit. It works the same way with emotions. The more that you express those emotions, the more inclined your brain is going to be to feel those emotions. So you can just practice that and you'll get better over time.
Okay, everybody, you see her. She showed up finally, Shelby. So if you have questions,
you should have seen me when you tweeted me to come join, and Ryan sent the link. I'm like in my pajamas. I've been sick for a week, so you're gonna have to ignore the cough drop and raspy voice.
You sound great.
I pulled it together.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So if you guys have questions for a wonderful female in the social engineering space, this is a great time to ask. Shelby does a large majority of our vishing work. She also has the unique privilege of being shoved inside of a garbage chute by her team here at Social Engineer while breaking into a building. Next, we're going to tie a rope around her and throw her over a fence because she weighs about 14 pounds. So, we're going to
use her as a grappling hook. Just
Yeah,
throw
as
her
a
on top of the
grappling
roof,
hook.
and then we can climb up.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Last time I tried to go through the roof last time, but it was all cemented off. So,
Even someone as
gotta
small
try
as
it
you
again.
can't do it. Yeah.
I failed.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Lit. We're all in our pajamas. So she could have come. Yeah, we agree. But she didn't feel comfortable. So, she wanted to.
Figured I should put a little bit of effort in.
I didn't know you were sick. So thanks for coming. So
Of
what
course.
questions do you guys and gals have? Ask them Twitter, Discord. Where do
Billy
you
asked
want?
on Twitter when my book is coming out.
When is Ryan's book coming out? I can't give you the date yet, but you will hear some announcements about some things coming up soon, I'm sure.
Chris is my agent, so I just let him speak for me when it comes to that sort of thing.
I
He
have
sets
to.
it all up.
I have to make Ryan do all these things.
So it's somewhere. It's in the future, maybe.
What other questions? Come on, you can ask Ryan and Shelby anything.
We're here for you,
Sure.
people.
Man, there were so many people that said yes to this, and now they're not asking. Amanda, save us. What was that question you had? Thank God for this Lit guy. He's
Yeah. It's a one-on-one conversation with Lit.
yeah. So
That's what we should just title it when we put it up on YouTube. Our
yeah.
one-on-one conversation with Lit.
Yeah, let's Q&A. While we're waiting for more questions, check out our schedule today at what is it? In an hour from now, Lisa Forte is going to be coming in and speaking. And if you have not heard of her, you definitely want to check that out. She is amazing. She used to hunt Somalian pirates for the British government.
For fun.
It's crazy.
No, professionally.
Yeah, for the government, not hunting them like as in, some weird movie. Maybe she did. I don't know. You should come to her speech and find out. Shelby, you got a question. Here it is. Shelby, how do you take advantage of your size in social engineering?
I think by playing to biases. Social engineering is not politically correct in that we have a lot of inherent biases as humans, and playing to those can really work to our advantage, right? Because when we work against them, let me give you an example. If Chris and I walk into a building, who is someone going to assume is the boss? It's not going to be me, right? And that's okay, because we all want to think Shelby could be the boss. This small woman could be the boss, and I could be, right? But that's not going to be the natural assumption, right? Chris is taller, older, larger. It's going to be assumed he's a male, that he's the boss. So by playing to that, it can really work to my advantage. And I do that in many scenarios. I've been on jobs with another woman before, right? And she was taller than me, a little bit older, looked like she would play the part of that authority figure. And so by playing to that, we were actually able to use it to our advantage. And I remember the person that we were talking to actually ended up liking me a little bit more, right? Because the other woman that I was with, she played the authoritative boss, and she was even almost a little bit rude to me on purpose. And it enabled me to have this conversation with this woman and really create that rapport that we were looking for to get to the next level and get that conversation. And the woman shared more with me because she felt bad for me. And so by playing to those biases and really just leaning into it, I think I get a lot further than I would if I were trying to push authority pretexts, on site or even on the phone, and just playing to my strengths that way. So biases aren't something to lean away from in this field. Leaning into them can definitely get you further than it could otherwise.
Shelby, you have another question. Someone is asking, what advice would you give another woman trying to get into this field?
That's a really good question. I think that being a woman in this field is something a lot of people, well, it's a huge conversation, right? I mean, I see it on Twitter, I see it on Instagram, all social media platforms. But I don't think that men in this field are just the enemy, right? I think it's all about who you surround yourself with, no matter if it's other women, other men, just people that are going to support you on your journey and push you to get outside of your comfort zone. So just focus on building those relationships, no matter who they're with, and learning from the people around you. And don't be afraid to ask questions. I mean, that goes for anyone in the field. I'm still new to it. There are still uh, so many things that I don't know. And so just utilizing people as resources for you to learn from, I think is something that's really helped me.
I'll add one thing to that, even though I'm not a woman, which is don't compromise for a job, right? There's a lot of places that are really crappy to work for women out there. And don't say, well, I want to get in the field, so I may have to, take one for the team. Don't do it. I mean, we see what things like what's happening with Blizzard and this stuff in the news. Don't allow those things to exist in your life just for a career, because there are places that will treat you respectfully regardless of your gender or anything else that is in your life. There are places that will treat you respectfully. So don't compromise. Make a stand for that. It's the only way we're going to make a change in this garbage. Ryan, here's one for you. Are clipboard and safety vest really as powerful as I've heard?
Yes, they are. I've used that exact setup a couple times with walking in, and the first time that I used it, I was curious because I went to go break into a bank, and I had put together this outfit where I went out and I bought the whole outfit with the hard hat and the clipboard. And this was before I was working for Chris, so I actually sent him a photo of myself saying, "Hey, here's my Halloween costume," and he thought it was great. But it was, it looked exactly like a construction worker, and I didn't know this at the time, but when I finally got to the location that I was breaking into, there was actually construction going on like 2 buildings down from the building that I was supposed to break into. And so it was just luck on my part on that. And so when I ended up walking in and tailgating into this building, I walked around and I made eye contact with at least 8 or 9 people with the hard hat on my clipboard. So I wasn't wearing it, but I had the vest and everything. And I walked around, I made eye contact with at least 8 or 9 people, and not a single one of them questioned why I was there. And I started getting under desks, and I was dropping drop boxes, plugging them in. So when I got back to my hotel room, I had multiple accesses into the local network, but no one questioned it. And so I got in, I walked around, and I left, and it was so easy. I was shocked. I actually sent a message back to Chris saying that was too easy. What happened? What was wrong?
I remember that.
So yes, they are very powerful. It just allows you to blend in, because there's a lot of elements of building the frame around a pretext where how you look makes a huge difference. And so if you dress up like a janitor, or you dress up like a cleaning person in general, or someone who is not an authority figure, but you ego suspend down to being just a worker in the building that's not necessarily a cubicle worker, you're just an auxiliary worker, then people tend to not pay attention to you nearly as much. And just adding those little elements of the vest and the clipboard just add to that framing of you are who you say you are. And so people don't question it. It's actually quite amazing. I would encourage people just to do that just for fun. Just walk into a building dressed differently and see how people treat you.
Ryan is not encouraging you to break into places for fun.
I said walk in. I said walk in.
I
didn't say break in.
I just want to make sure we have to do the whole, we are not lawyers.
That's how you can practice SE, is you dress up like someone you're not, and you walk around and see how people treat you. And it's an interesting way to gain that perspective.
Okay, I'll take this one. What adjustments did you have to make over the last year due to the pandemic? So quite a few. First is we didn't do any physical engagements for the last year and 7 months. Offices were closed, and plus we did not feel safe traveling, hence why we're not even at DEF CON. We're here virtually. Our team just really took the pandemic very seriously, and all of us have many of us, have young children or older family at home that we didn't want to put at risk. So we just didn't travel. So we didn't do any on-site engagements at all. So all of our work shifted to phone and OSINT and email work. So that was one of our our biggest changes over the last year. And I would say our next biggest change is, in case you don't know this, we run our own conference. We run a human behavior conference once a year, and we had to make that virtual. Last year, it was really difficult. We were not in the space of running virtual conferences, and it was very, very hard, but we had to take all of our content and make a virtual conference, which we did. So there were a few changes. People in the beginning were less likely to engage. We found they weren't answering their phones. Everybody was under extreme stress. There was just so many unknowns. But as the year and a half or so went on, people are becoming more and more used to this dynamic, right? Where we're sitting in 2 dimensions and just talking to a screen. So it became more regular for folks to interact with us like this. Okay, here's one that's for the 3 of us. We're going to have to vote on this. It came from Billy on Twitter. There's one phone call with the fate of the world in the balance. Who in social engineer is making that call?
Shelby.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Because that's happened before. We've had a client say make one call, and Ryan gave it to me. I was like, please, no, you can do it. It's okay.
Yeah, that was easy.
That was a super easy.
Now
Always Shelby.
it's a different question from who's capable of comping the person. The question was who's making the call, not who's going to make it the best. I would just like to clarify and put that out there.
But Shelby, the nature of the question is the fate of the world is in the hands of this one phone call. And we have to make a choice out of our whole team.
Kurt.
Who is going to make that call?
He would thrive in that moment.
Yeah, but I mean, I like Kurt. Don't get me wrong. Kurt's awesome. Kurt is solid. And if I need somebody to jump into a monkey suit and go break into a building, Kurt is my man, right?
I can see that happening.
Actually,
I want that to happen now.
Yeah, I think we should make that a pretext.
Yeah.
Can
work that for sure.
The fate of the world, and we have one phone call. I feel like that pressure needs to be on you. I think so.
I don't want that. Thanks.
No problem. The internet has
confidence.
Voted.
It's confidence.
Yeah. The internet has voted and you have been chosen. You are a tribute.
Great.
You are going to save the world.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, as long as it's not in a booth in front of 300 people again, we're fine.
Let's see. I get spam calls a lot offering me insurance or paying my bills. I'm able to recognize them easily because they have very, very cheap social engineering skills. And they are easily recognized. I want to social engineer them and trick them to do something that may cause them trouble, like getting them to download a file that contains a virus by sending them some link. How can I do that? Well, Fan Bronk, let me give you a couple answers to this. I'll field the first one for this if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
Be cautious, because performing an illegal activity on someone who is doing something illegal does not make what you're doing legal.
Very true.
Right. So, if somebody's breaking into my home, I have the right to defend my family, but I can't tie him up in the basement and torture him for a few days. Right. That's still not ethical or legal. So, someone's calling you and they're hacking you. And there's YouTube channels that show this. You can get information from him. You can get him to tell you who he really is. Where's he from? You can waste his time for hours. I've done that before. I got a call from someone said they were from the IRS and that I had to pay money and I had to do it by going to a CVS. And I told them that the closest CVS to do a Western Union was an hour away. And he said, well, then you keep me on the phone and you drive there. So I downloaded a YouTube video that was car noise and I played it on speaker for an hour. I kept this guy busy for an hour until he figured out I wasn't going to a CVS, and he got mad and yelled at me. But I wasted his time, so he wasn't vishing somebody else and getting that person's money. But if
I've done that exact thing too, and gotten through multiple tiers of their support and took down all their log me in codes and submitted them for abuse. And they called me back 3 days in a row trying to get me to get to the internet, and for some reason my internet just wasn't working. I couldn't figure it out. So that prevented them from spending that amount of time on someone else, but I wasn't trying to hack them. It was just all a time waster. And it was, you can talk to them, try to social engineer them to give you information. That definitely is worth it, I think. But just in my aspect of it, I was trying to get information from them so I could submit that to close down the accounts that they were using. So I got their log me in accounts, and then I started submitting those accounts for abuse to log me in, and then hopefully those were getting shut down and they needed to try a little bit harder to hack the next person.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, I don't think the bad guys are going to ever sue you, take you to court because you hacked their computer while they were hacking you. But I think it's more of a, how far are you willing to go and what are your ethics and morals in it? Okay, here's one each of us can take without compromising future engagements for us three. Shelby, we'll start with you, ladies first. What is the weirdest pretext you have used?
I don't know that I've had a weird pretext yet.
But you've had a really weird circumstance, so maybe not a pretext, but you were shoved inside of a small garbage hole.
True.
Why don't you tell that story?
Okay. Well, see, I didn't have to do any pretexting work on that one. Ryan went in and opened the door for me, so that was great. And then I just jumped in the garbage, so that was that.
Well, you should maybe, it's a great story to keep saying that you jumped in the garbage, but there was a point for you jumping in the garbage. Like that was to facilitate further attacks. We weren't just tossing you randomly into the trash.
This is how we run our gigs. We just open the door and jump in the trash. That's it.
Yeah, that's
it. Yeah, proof of concept.
That's the only goal.
Completed.
Yeah, perfect. Send it in the report. That's great. Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel like that doesn't apply to the pretext question.
It doesn't. But I still think it's a good story since you don't have a weird pretext.
Okay.
I think it's a good story and people want to hear it now.
All right. So we were in this client building. It was about 1:30 in the morning at this point.
Yeah.
And we'd been there for a while. We have a couple team members, one of them being Ryan, tasked at lockpicking this door. Lockpicking was in scope. They were working on it for quite a while. The rest of our team, we were walking around, just trying to look for, the things you look for. See if there were any passwords on sticky notes, things like this. See if there were any other doors unlocked. We do that. I'm on that team, so I'm walking around, looking around for about an hour. Come back, they're still working on this door. This lock was intense, and I am not great at lock picking, so I knew I was going to be no help there. We're increasingly getting frustrated, a little stressed because it's almost 2 a.m.
We're all very tired. We've been there for a number of hours.
Extremely tired. This was after our day engagements as well. At this point, we're hearing someone walking around on the other side of the door that they're trying to lockpick. And it just gets to this point where we're like, we're going to get through this door or we're not. So if you look at the door, to the right of the door, there was this tabletop, and we were in a cafeteria area. And you look at the counter, and there are these holes for trash cans. So the trash bins were underneath the counter. And Ryan just walks away from the door. I think he just needed to take a breath and decompress. And he was the team lead on this. The rest of us were noobs, basically. So, he's just walking around and he looks at the trash can, and he takes his phone and puts his phone under and shines a light under there. And he sees that behind where the trash cans are, right, there are doors that are supposed to be locked, but they're open, and it leads into this little storage closet. Well, this storage closet was connected to the area that we were trying to get to. So we didn't know if the door was going to be locked there, because there was another door in between, if it would be locked, if it was even going to be beneficial. But we've been there for hours at this point. And Ryan was too nice to say it, but I saw him see the open door, and he just slowly looked up and looked at me. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going in the trash. But I waited to see if he would ask, and he's too nice. He didn't ask. And after a few more minutes of him just getting more frustrated and just I don't know what to do, and we were all kind of at this point, we're just exhausted. I'm like, it's Ryan, it's fine. Do you want me to go in the trash? I'll do it. It's fine. It's no big deal. And so I didn't actually have to jump in the trash can. We had someone move the trash can out of the way. But yeah, jumped up on the counter, lowered myself through. The door ended up being open, and then we were able to just open the door. So that was an awesome moment for me because I wouldn't have thought to look behind the trash cans at that point if that were me. So it definitely expanded my perspective on those engagements and just to think outside of the box a little bit.
I love that story. So Ryan, what's your weirdest pretext?
I don't know. I've dressed up like I went to Jimmy John's and I bought a couple sandwiches and I kind of tried to buy one of the guy's hats that was behind the counter, but he wouldn't sell it to me. So I had to go buy a kind of a semi-replica hat. And then I ended up walking into a building and saying that people ordered these sandwiches. Can I just go up there and deliver them? And people they were calling around trying to see who owned these sandwiches. And I was like, well, can I just leave these sandwiches here anyway? And I need to use the bathroom real quick. Is that okay? And I walked back into the bathroom and dropped a USB key that had some stuff on it. And luckily someone right after I left went into that bathroom, and I kind of like sat on the toilet and just dropped it as if it fell out of my pocket. And I just sat there for a few minutes and then got up and left. So they thought that I was actually using the bathroom. And then going back to my hotel room, probably about an hour later, I saw that someone had taken that USB key and actually plugged it in and got a reverse shell on their machine. But it was just the idea of just going and buying these sandwiches and just trying to play up the idea that someone ordered these, but I don't know who they are. I'll just wander around and ask who owned these sandwiches. But they wouldn't let me into the main cubicle area of the building, but I at least still got shell via the bathroom. So that was pretty weird.
Let's see. I think for me, there's so many, but for me, I was with Michelle and we had flown into Utah to do a job. And when we landed, there was a freak snowstorm hitting, and they actually said they were closing the airports at 10 p.m. if the snow hit of that same day. And we were supposed to be in that location for 2 days. And I thought, man, if we wait, we're gonna end up getting stuck in Utah for like a week. So I said, we got to go do this job now and come right back to the airport and buy tickets and leave. So we had to change our whole pretext. We were going to go OSINT, scope the place out and then do the job the next day. But we're like, okay. So on the way there, I said to her, how do you feel about being a singing nurse? And she's like, what? So we went to a medical supply store and I bought her a nurse's outfit and a stethoscope. And then I went to a flower shop and bought her a bunch of flowers. And then we did OSINT on our phone and we found the name of the head of HR. And I said, like, when we get there, you go in and you tell them that you're a singing telegram from a secret admirer for this guy from HR. And we need the front desk people to leave with you. So tell them that your camera guy couldn't make it with you because of the snowstorm and that you need someone to come film it because part of the service is you have to make a little video and put it on DVD for him, and ask them to come and help film it. So she did, and they all went. And when she goes in, we had it set up so when they buzzed the door, she put a piece of duct tape on the lock. So when the door shut, I'd be able to open it without having to get buzzed in. So she gets it. She gets them all to go. They're all like, oh my God, I can't wait to see Mike's face. I can't wait. This is going to be amazing. And the part that is terrible is that she can't sing at all. I mean, she can't hold a tune for anything. So, I wait a minute. I kind of walk by the front door. Everything's empty. I pull on it, take the tape off, and then I get in, hop the turnstile, and now I'm in the place. And as I'm walking past the office of where she's in there, and I could hear her explaining to the guy, that this is the singing telegram, secret admirer. And he stands up and all I can hear him say, I don't have to put my hands on you, do you? Do I? And she goes, it's not that kind of telegram, and that's all I heard. We have this whole thing on video. Sadly, I can't share because it has client info, but it was a pretty epic pretext. I spent a time in there and then,
What did she sing?
The earth moves under your feet. What was that? The earth move under your feet. Yeah, that song. She sang that. It's really horrific. I should actually find the video and just play a piece of the audio. It was really bad. I mean, she can't sing. It was.
Oh my goodness.
Terrible. Yeah.
Sounds like my worst nightmare for Pretext to have to sing in front of people.
Well, now we're going to be doing that, just so you know.
Right.
See, that sets you up for outside your comfort zone training.
Yeah, what we
True.
talked about. Okay, so yeah, that answers that question. Let's see, we have 10 more minutes. Oh yeah, the weather curse. That is true. I had this one job, Amanda, saying that I went to travel and there was a hurricane and a volcano erupted. And the hurricane winds blew the ash from the volcano eruption into the path of where I was supposed to fly. Not even a fake story. Amanda can tell you so many of them. Yeah, there was some volcano in Norway or some up there like
Iceland,
that.
maybe.
Iceland, yeah. And then I was supposed to be flying overseas, and the volcanic ash created a problem with my flight path, and it was a mess. Yeah, it was a real mess. Yeah, it seems like I can't travel without some kind of catastrophe. Okay, say for instance, I'm an ex-actress who is not a brand name, but skilled at misdirection. Relatively entry level for security, but skilled in acting and general IT. What's a general path into the industry as an SE? Well, Steve. I don't know if I think we can answer that question without the first part being that you're an actress. It doesn't, I don't know if that matters.
Kurt did some acting. Kurt did some acting, and that really helped him kind of get into the role of his vishing and enjoyed that part of it. So there are acting skills that can help with SE.
Yeah, but I mean, he's asking what's the general path into the industry, not the skills, right? So
sure.
I think the answer comes back to like what we were saying before, is that there's a number of ways to get in the industry, but you either have to find a company that's hiring and get hired directly into doing SE, or you have to go find a company that is in pen testing, adversarial simulation, and then work your way into that.
I think everyone I've asked has gotten into the industry a different way. No one's story is exactly the same. So when people ask me that question, I always have a hard time answering it, how to get into the industry. I think it's heavily dependent on the relationships that you form.
Yeah.
That's how it was for me.
I don't know if I understand this other question. So what is your most solid hands-on keyboard skill for any of you? Like if you had to make it into a room and are alone, what's your go-to? Do you mean like if we were doing a network aspect of the test? Is that what you're kind of referring to with that?
I can probably turn off the computer.
Yeah.
That's about the limit of my technical skills.
Yeah, I'm a bit more technical than that, but it all depends on a little bit. I'm okay with computers. It's all right. Yeah, it all depends if you're taking your own devices in, or if you're kind of living off the land there, that makes a big difference. So you can do some initial reconnaissance via an open computer that's sitting there, but usually if you're going to do that type of break-in, you're going to bring a Dropbox or your own device to try to bring the tools that you're used to. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I took away from it.
7 more minutes, folks, and then we're going to close shop and we're going to get ready for our first speech in SEVillage, Lisa Forte. So you're going to want to stick around the Twitch channel for that, and also our Discord. Do you have a bag of USB like a utility kit?
If that stuff's in scope, we'll prepare something like that.
Yep.
For sure. We might bring a whole bunch of USB keys and deploy them around to see what departments are picking up USB keys and using them, or we'll bring stuff in like live CDs that will just give us access to devices on a fresh booted computer. So it's all contextual, I guess is a terrible answer, but that's the answer.
I don't think it's terrible. I mean, really, our what we will do on a job is very dependent on scope, and that is just the answer. It's just.
And every one of our services is so customized to an individual client that we really don't have a checkbox of things we do on every job, because every job is very different.
Yeah. Yeah, Steve. If you check out both social-engineer.org and social-engineer.com. There's a number of newsletters, blogs, and podcasts that talk about breaking into the industry. Additionally, I wrote a really long post on LinkedIn that talked about the most needed skills for being a professional social engineer. So if you go and take a look at those avenues, you can probably find a lot of information that can help you in some of the advice that we've given the people in the past on how to get into the industry and break into the industry. And you can always take some training that can help. I know there's a few SE courses out there. No, it is related. SE. This Q&A session was recorded. We recorded it, and we didn't know if we were going to release it publicly or not, but it went pretty good. So I think we will. And especially since Shelby came, now we can put it out there.
Significant eye blocking there.
Is there value anymore in phishing awareness tests where you build lures and get people to click them? Seems like there's been a turn against this kind of testing the last year or so, mostly because the world is already awful enough. Todd, that's a good question. And here's what I can say to that. There is a lot of value in it, but what you're seeing and what you're maybe attributing here in this question is that the turn in the world is that people have started to use really crappy pretexts that harm people and that make people, that use people's hope as part of the lure. And that's not cool. That's not good, right? But think of phishing awareness training as anything you want to learn to do, right? You want to learn how to box. You want to learn how to cook. You want to learn how to code. No matter what it is, you're going to need to practice it over and over and over and over again. And then eventually you get this thing called muscle memory, right? And things become second nature and you know how to do things better. Phishing awareness is just another skill set. Learning how to catch fish and then report them properly can only happen with someone who has practiced and been taught. So I think it's essential for companies to do this, but companies are taking the path of, well, the bad guys do it this way, so we're going to do it this way. And that mentality is not good. That mentality is awful. It harms your employees, and it does not focus on education. It focuses on the coolness factor of phishing. And that's not a great thing to focus on when you're doing this as a career. I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
Yeah, one other thing with phishing awareness tests, I think that people get really stuck in is measuring the click rates and how like someone mentioned that's what the execs and management like to look at is see those numbers. And from our perspective, click rates are not a great metric to base your phishing awareness on. You should be focusing your phishing awareness on your reporting rate of those tested emails, because the click rate is going to go up and down so dramatically based on the pretext and how it affects individuals. Like if you send one email out to 30,000 people and you get a certain level of click rate, it might be because that particular pretext was affected that group of people in a way that it didn't affect the other group of people that didn't do anything. But when you start looking at your reporting rates, you can see that even if it didn't affect the person emotionally to be able to click it, they at least recognized that it was a phish, and then they were reporting a potential active attack on the company. And that's a much better metric to base all of your phishing awareness testing on, is your report rate. Your click rate is going to go up and down month to month. And if you try to gauge and predict whether it's going to go up and down month to month, then you're just looking at the test in the wrong way, in my opinion. Because your reporting rate is the thing that's supposed to go up gradually to show that your testing is actually giving you a return on your investment. But the click rate going up and down is just an emotional trigger, and it's gonna catch some people and kind of keep them aware of what their emotional triggers are. But the people who are reporting it are the people who are actually secure and keeping your company safer. So that's a better metric to pay attention to as opposed to click rates. And that's my little rant about phishing awareness.
I love it. Nope, it's great. Okay, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else. This was great, actually. Really nice. Good questions and a really nice interaction. Thank you for that from the Twitterverse and from our Discord here. In just under 30 minutes, we're going to start our speaking track, and we have two great speeches and one so-so speech. That's going to be this afternoon. So, you can do this once a week, Chris. Boy, woo, I don't know if we want to do DEF CON once a week.
Yeah.
Actually, I do know, and we don't. So thank you for that, though. But we do hold some things like this every now and then. So just watch us on Twitter. You can follow SOC Engineer Inc., Human Hacker. And usually we tweet these things out that if we have like webinars or other things that we're doing publicly, we love to interact with you guys and gals, and your questions are always really good. So anyway, hang tight. We're going to stop the stream for a few and then come join us when we have Lisa on in just about 20 or so minutes. See you in a few.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.